The War of 1812, December 1813, the war thus far. Today's video will be largely based on the entries in my treasure, the unpublished The War of 1812, a chronology of the military actions 1812 to 1815 by D.R. Westhouse. But, as always, any errors are strictly my own. In the 1800s, warfare was generally a summertime activity, but not always. In spite of the cold and the rain and snow in the Canadas and the northern U.S., a lot of action still transpired during the winter months, and December 1813 was no exception. December 10th sees the burning of Newark, Upper Canada, present-day Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario. An American force, New York militia, under Brigadier General George McClure, has been trapped inside Fort George and decide to abandon and burn it before crossing the narrow Niagara River for home. But McClure also determined to burn the village of Newark to supposedly keep the British troops from using it as a base. While my primary source, the Chronology by D.R. Westhouse, doesn't mention it, the arch-Canadian traitor Joseph Wilkes is often accused of instigating the burning as an act of personal vengeance. Be that as it may, the inhabitants of Newark were driven from their homes in only their nightclothes on a frigid winter's evening as the town burned, while Fort George itself was hardly damaged. Vengeance is swift. On December 19th, British and Canadian forces crossed the Niagara River and captured Fort Niagara before burning the towns of Lewiston, Youngstown, Manchester, present-day Niagara Falls, and Tuscarora, as well as Fort Schlosser. Fort Schlosser. Then, on December the 30th, both Black Rock and Buffalo are destroyed by fire, as someday Washington itself will be burned. Mutually assured destruction. But when did this warfare by arson begin? Was it a carryover from the American Revolutionary War, or from earlier conflicts? If anyone knows, please share your knowledge in the comments. But what else is happening beyond the Niagara frontier? Staying in Upper Canada, on December the 15th, near Moravia Town, Norfolk, Middlesex, and Kent militia, plus provincial dragoons, under the command of Lieutenants Henry Medcalf and John McGregor, surround the home of Thomas McCrae, a captain in the 1st Kent Militia. McCrae's house has been occupied by a small party of Americans from the 26th U.S. Infantry under a Lieutenant Larwell, who are using it as a base to seize supplies and to demand pledges of loyalty from the local farmers. The militia storm the house, and in the ensuing struggle, 1 American is killed and 3 wounded, the survivors being taken as prisoners to Dover. According to Wikipedia, this is the only time that U.S. regulars are defeated by a force consisting only of Canadian militia. December 27th sees a different sort of cross-border raid when a British force of Frontier Light Infantry under the command of Captain Oliver Barker leave Stansted, Quebec to raid Derby, Vermont, where they seize supplies and burn down the local volunteer barracks. Way over on the Pacific coast, Fort Astoria in the Oregon Territory is visited by the British sloop of war HMS Raccoon, which has come to claim it for Britain, only to learn the American Pacific Fur Company had sold it to the British-owned Northwest Fur Trading Company in order to elude capture by the Royal Navy. The Raccoon's captain, William Black, is annoyed, having lost his prize money, and renames the post Fort George in honor of the King. The fort will remain in British hands until 1818, but the fighting over control of the Oregon Territory will go on much, much longer. What's the latest in the Creek War down south? On December 22nd, a force of 850 men under General Ferdinand Lee Claiborne, militia, regulars from the 3rd U.S. Infantry, plus 150 Choctaw warriors, arrived some 10 miles south of Iconochaka, or the Holy Ground, situated on the bluffs above the Alabama River. The area was named the Holy Ground as the Creek Red Stick prophet Josiah Francis claimed it was a barrier the Americans couldn't cross. On December 23rd, the Americans crossed it. This caused many of the Creek warriors to flee, leaving Red Stick leader William Weatherford, a.k.a. Red Eagle, with only 120 fighters, which included some former slaves. They resisted for about an hour, but marshy terrain prevented the 1st Mississippi Volunteers from surrounding the village, allowing many warriors to slip away, including Weatherford, who rides his horse down the bluff and across the Alabama River to safety. Some 20 to 30 Red Sticks are killed, as well as some of the slaves. The Americans suffer 1 dead with 20 wounded. The village is burned, naturally, and Claiborne retires, as most of his men are coming to the end of their enlistment period. The Battle of the Holy Ground will be Claiborne's last appearance in the war, and he will die on March the 22nd, 1815, aged 45. As Wikipedia notes, Claiborne's campaign clears the Alabama River of Red Stick warriors, forcing them eastwards, where they will encounter Andrew Jackson. Thus, December 1813 sees a skirmish in southwest Upper Canada, a cross-border raid in Vermont, and American fur traders outwitting the Royal Navy, while, down south, the Red Stick warriors are driven from the protection of their holy ground, and in the Niagara, everything is burning, 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 fire and ice, or, to quote Pierre Burton, there are flames across the border. When did burning down the house become standard operating procedure? When will it all end? If this is your first visit to my channel, your first visit to 1812 channel, my name is Warren and I'm your host. I'm not a historian, nor am I an expert on the War of 1812. Instead, I'm a student wishing to learn about the conflict. Each month for the roughly 3 years of the war, I will outline the major events. I will also try to review a book on the war. Did I miss anything today? Any errors? Then let me know in the comments below. And when the barrage lifts, cheers! Pictures used in today's video were courtesy of Pix here, that's PX here, while the music was The Prior by that patron of the internet, Kevin MacLeod.